In this tutorial, we're going to learn motion design in Unreal Engine, covering the 3D text tool and its settings, how to layer its animation properties in the sequencer, how to set up scene lighting, reflections, and important post-processing options. Stick around to the end where we build this whole sequence and I reveal some advanced settings. So before we do anything, we just need to make sure that we've got the correct plugin installed. So we go up to Settings, down to Plugins, and then we type in our search bar just the word text. And if you scroll down here, you'll see the Text 3D, the 3D text generator, the plugin for Unreal Engine. So if it's not already enabled, just click Enable and Unreal will probably ask you to restart. Close the window and you're good to go. So let's make sure we're starting with a fresh scene, a nice clean level. So go to File, New Level, select the default settings for now. If you haven't already got one open, that's fine for now, the default lighting. And let's create our 3D actor, our text actor. So we go up to here, type in text in our search classes, and it'll come up in the list. Here is 3D text. Drag it onto our stage, and I'm going to hit the F key to zoom in. I'm going to go over to our locations panel and just hit this little yellow icon here. It says reset to default to put it back in at 0, 0, 0 for 0x, 0y, and 0z. And I'm also going to move down our floor because by default it comes in a move to 20 in the z axis. I'm going to hit 0 and bring that back down. And there's our text actor. This is what we're going to use to do all our text animation. So I'm going to start by scaling this up. At the moment I've got my padlock icon over here on the scale. What this does, it will scale it uniformly. So if I uncheck that, you can scale in the X and Y ununiformly. So if I type in something like 3 here, you can see it scale, scale backwards this way. If I do this in the Y, you can see it stretches. So we don't want that. So I'm just going to hit the padlock to get it to scale uniformly. And I'm going to hit, say, something like 3, just so we can see what we're doing for now is fine. And there we go, there's our text actor, which we're going to use. Okay, so let's just quickly go through all these settings before we go into animation so you understand what they do. First of all, our text here is what you put in for what you want it to say in this little text box. So something like, just put the word design in, whatever you want, move this back over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you these different settings. Now, to be able to see what the extrude, bevel and everything does, I want to apply some material so we're not looking at just a solid white. It's going to make it easier to see. So down here you can you can actually apply different materials to the front, the bevel, the extrude and the back, which is great. So I've got 2 different materials set up here. Now this tutorial is not about creating materials, but I will quickly show you how to create a shiny material. If we right click on our content browser and go to material, let's just type in new material for now, something like that. I'm going to double click and it's going to open up our editor for our material. And at the moment, as you can see, it's just black. Now if you hold down the number 3 key and left mouse click, you'll get a constant 3 vector, which is what you use to just select a color. We're going to click in here and just select any color you want. I'm just going to create a yellow for now, and we're going to select this little dot over here and just drag it to the base color, and there we go, you see it update. And now we want to give it this sort of shiny look, so we just want a single parameter. So we just hit the 1 key and left click again, and you'll get our value, our expression constant here. And what I'm going to do is you can plug this into anything, and I'm going to plug this into our roughness spot, and there you go, you'll see you'll get sort of a shiny, ultra reflective. Now you might want to take that down a touch, so it might sort of say 0.2 or something like that. I'm going to leave it at 0 just for now and like it nice and shiny. So that's how you just create a material. I'm not going to save this for now because I've already got 2 created. And just select no, and then I'm just going to delete this one here. So now that you know how to create the material, we're just going to drag them on just so we can see what we're doing. So let's put the blue, let's just left click, drag it over. You can see the material updates here, and I'm also going to drag this sort of magenta material to the bevel material. Now nothing happens at the moment because we haven't set a bevel. So this is what we're going to do now. So let's just quickly go through these settings. Your extrude is how far it extrudes backwards. So if I put something high like 20, you can see it extrudes backwards, in Z space. So let's just now add the bevel, which is here. So let's put something like 3, and there you go. You get sort of quite a large, obviously it's a bit ugly for now, but just to demonstrate the purposes of the bevel. And we've got the different types of bevel. So we've got convex, which is the sort of default. It curves out, it convexes out. And now you have a play with these. So you can go for linear, which is like a chiseled look. You can do half circle, which is quite interesting. Obviously, you would have to take the bevel, down, and just to have a play with these. You've got like one step. You've got engrave, which is quite cool. Just sort of you get this sort of ridge that comes out. So have a play with them. They're going to work in all different situations for you. So I'm going to take the bevel back down to 1. And I'm going to go back down to my convex. And there you go, you can see a nice sort of clean, subtle bevel. Bevels are best sort of left quite subtle, really. I'm going to drag this material onto our extrude material here as well. And there you go, you can see how that works as well. Or you can, even assign a different material to the back. So let me go on and just explain about how you can actually install a different font. So I've set up a little fonts folder here. You can just go right click, new folder. At the moment it comes with sort of, a few basic materials, but you might want to sort of add your own fonts, as I've done here. It's super easy to do. So what you do is you just go to your system, find the fonts you want. It's just on the other screen at the moment. So I've got a font here. Now I think only true type or open type fonts work in Unreal. So let's just have a look at these a minute. It's one called Banthink I've purchased. Let's just drag this in, and there you go. Would you like to create a new font? So just click yes, it's installed. So now if we select our 3D type actor here, and we should be able to go up, and let's just, there you go. And that's how easy it is to change the font in Unreal. So now I'm just going to quickly show you the paragraph settings aligning. Now they're sort of same really as desktop sort of Word and everything, work exactly the same. I'm just going to put this font back to something a bit more legible. So you've got your horizontal alignment, left, center and right. And you've got your vertical alignment, which is for multi-words. You've got your kerning, which is your letter spacing, works exactly the same. And you've got your line spacing. So for line spacing, you would need multiple lines. If you go back up to your text box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift Return, or I think just Return works as well. And I'm just going to type in another few lines, and hit. And there we go, and just hit return. So now you can see I've got multiple lines. I'm going to zoom out a bit so we can see it a bit easier and move this up. And now you can see how the line spacing would work, just like as if you're using Word or something. And there you go. So now you can play around with these settings, vertical alignment. You've got top. It changes your vertical alignment as if you were using any sort of desktop application really. So let's put this back to first line. You've also got word spacing here as well, and as you'd expect, it works the same. So if I put these instead of multi-line, if I now put design and hello world all in a row, just zoom out here, you've got your 3 separate words. And now if we change our word spacing, there you go. So you've got quite a lot of control here, and you've got scale proportionally as well. Just as if you were using, typing any text, you've got your kerning, you've got your fonts, your different bevels, your extrude for your 3D look. And that's basically it for that. So what we're going to do now is move now on to the exciting bit. We're going to learn how to sort of do animation of these letters, but we're also going to break this up so that we can animate each letter separately, independently, and control the scale, the rotation, and things like that to sort of build up some really interesting motion design. Okay, we're back to a clean scene with just one word, just the design, so we can show you the letter animation properly. And I want to get rid of these helper icons just so we can see what we're doing. So you just select this little arrow here and click Game View, or you can hit the G key. It just cleans up the scene so we can see what we're doing easier. Now, to be able to break this up and be able to animate it, we need to add a little extra node to our text 3D actor. So if you go across here to this green button, Add Component, and type in the word text again, and you'll see it brings up text 3D character transform. Click this to add it, and now you'll see it's sort of a child of our actor, and it brings up all these different other options. I'm just going to move this up here, and what we get is we get location, scale, and rotate. So this is where the fun starts. We're going to start off adding in the animation, having a play here. And I'm going to start off with, first of all, if I select it, you'll see you get back to this, and you'll wonder where your options have gone. You must remember to go back over to here and select your 3D character transform node to bring up these options. So let's enable, first of all, the location. I'm going to select this. By default, it's set our X position to 100. Now that is our end or our start point, and the progress will animate from 0 to whatever values we put in here. It could be X, Y, or Z. So I'm going to just show you what happens when I bring down the progress. You can see if I drag this, it slowly goes back to this point here, X. So I'm going to just bring the camera around a bit more, and you can see this happening here. Really nice sort of per letter animation. Now if we type in a bigger number here, say 300, it goes further back. Okay, and now say if we typed in minus 300 and then went to, sorry, I've just deselected our node there, and then changed our location progress, it moves the other way. So you've got a lot of control there. Let's go back to say 100 and try our progress again. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is put this to 0, and let's try now say the Z and change the progress, and there you go. And you can mix these. So now let's do Z and X together. So let's do something like 200 here, and it will mix them in. So now it's coming down and forward at an angle. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off the Z back to 0, and I'm just going to show you some of these other options that we've got available to us. So I'm going to put the progress sort of somewhere in the middle so you can see what's happening here. So you've got location order. You've got, at the moment you've got normal, and then you've also got from center, and then you've got to center, and you've also got opposite, which changes it the other way around. So instead of left to right, right to left. Okay, now you've also got the, I'm going to put this back to normal here. Now you've got this location range. At the moment it's set between 50, and this is how much spacing in between the letters, how it eases. I'll show you if I drag the location range up to say, or down, sorry, down to 0. That means it's going to animate each letter before it animates the next letter. There's no sort of in between. So you can see it's just like one letter, next, 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 as opposed to if we put the location range up to something in the middle, like we had before, or we do it the other way, which will actually move all the letters in one go. So you've got a lot of control here with the progress, the location order, the distance. Now let's just turn the location off. As you can sort of guess now, this applies to this exactly the same as the other way, to scale and to rotate. So let's enable the scale and let's give this a go. And as you can see, it disappears because we have we have the scale at the beginning set to 0. Let's just change our progress, and there they are. So you can scale this way. You can again change. You can do it to the center. So you've got all the same options as you had before. Opposite, and you can change these. So let's say let's just have a play with these values. At the moment, you've got scale begin on the X is 1, and then Y is 0. So let's maybe put all these to say. Let's try this one at 1, and let's say the scale end here is 0, and you just get sort of all different types of effects here. So you get like silly little skewing. You can do anything you want. Okay, and now I'm just going to disconnect the scale, and I'm going to show you the rotate. Exactly the same again. Rotate progress. There you go. Normal. Let's do to the center. let's do from center. And again, you can change the values here. So we can say the rotate, at the moment we've got rotate begin is -90 on the Y. Let's say, you can add a random value in if you don't want to type exact numbers in, so you get a little tiny amount. So let's put this back to 0, and let's say, let's change it this way. Let's do 90 this way, and let's see, it's going to rotate this way. Okay, so you can see you've got a lot of control. Now the beauty here is you can actually now mix all of these at the same time. So we can say, let's turn on the rotation and the location at the same time. But what you'll notice, let's just turn the location range down to 50. What you'll notice though is that you can only animate one at a time within these panels. If I go to here, there's sort of no way to animate them. So this brings us on to our next section, which is when we're going to actually put the actor into the sequencer, and we're going to be able to layer these things up and start to get some really complex animations, and to be able to build up our motion design so you can mix the rotation, the scale, and the location all in one go. And then we're going to have another phase at the end as well, more complex, where we start animating things like, adding in the kerning and animating the materials. So stick around till the end. We've still got a lot to do, and we're going to do the whole full animated scene as well. Hey, so you may or may not have used the sequencer before in Unreal. It's basically a timeline editor for Unreal, similar to like other packages like After Effects and things like that allows us to layer up and sequence our animation. So if you go up to Cinematics, and then go to Add Level Sequence, and then it'll ask you where you're going to save that sequence. So choose your folder, or wherever your folder structure is. It's just going to call this New Level Sequence for now. It's just fine. And it'll pop up across the bottom there. You've got New Level Sequence. And my window has popped up here. I've got it docked in here so that I can fit it all on one screen for you for this tutorial. So let's get on and animate this thing. I've just got one word, the word design, to demonstrate this. Now what we need to do is add this to our sequencer. So if we select it, go along to Track, Actor to Sequence, and then choose our 3D actor. So there it appears in the sequencer. Now nothing happens yet because we haven't added any values. So if you click the Track button and then go up to Text 3D Character Transform, as you can see, that was our character transform we added over here. So we're basically adding this node to our sequencer to be able to get the values and layer them up to be able to animate them. So I'm going to click on this here, and you'll see it pop up here. Again, nothing's happened yet because we need to choose what we want to layer and animate in our sequencer. So again, if you click the little track button here, you'll see it opens up all the options we had over here in our text transform panel. So if we click here, and let's try first of all our location progress, which is what we had over here. When we drag the slider up and down, it would move the options back and forward. And what you've got over here is exactly the same. Location progress, you've got your scale which you can drag. Okay, so it goes here from 0 to 100. Now you need to be careful because you can actually slide it past 100, which won't have any effect, but it will mess up your timings. So let's delve into this and let's see how you can set a keyframe to be able to animate this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this little button here. It says add a new keyframe, and at the moment we've chosen location progress 0. And let's go up, say, sort of 30 frames. And put this up to 100, and I'm going to type that in, and I'm going to drag the slider, and there you go. So it's sort of animated now in the timeline. Okay, so but the good thing about this is now that we can, as we couldn't before, we couldn't layer up, we couldn't add the rotation or anything as well. So let's add another track. Let's go back to 0, and now let's add another track. So let's click on our Text 3D Character Transform 1. Click the track button, and now let's add our rotation. So here we go. So where it is rotate progress, and now we've got both. We've got location and rotation. Now if you see, if I drag this slider, it doesn't do anything at the moment. That's because you need to remember to turn this on in our text transform over here, so it needs to be on. So there you go. So we've activated it, and you know, you can change these settings whenever you want. So let's do this again. So let's add say another key here, and when we get to 30 frames down the timeline, we're going to go to maximum 100. Now when we drag the timeline, we are now using both. We're using the transform, the location and the rotation together. So now, as you can see, that you know, you've got a lot of power in your hands here. The sequencer can do a lot, and also you can change the timings very easy. Let's say you want it to rotate first and then transform. So I've moved the keyframes. I've dragged the keyframes up the timeline. So from here we get our rotation. When it finishes, we then get our transform, our location. Or you might want to say overlap them. So let's bring these back 50-50. So it starts to rotate and then it sort of transforms back as we go. And then you might want to change the timing. So you might want to have the say the rotation happen really quickly, and then it goes back. Or you might want to blend these in a bit more, so it just starts to rotate, it finishes its rotation and then carries on. Now you can change the settings here at any time. So at the moment we've got our location set to go back. Now what happens if we go over to our location panel and we change this, instead of 100, we change this to -100. Okay, and now if it updates in our sequencer. So there you go. So let me just move the camera back out here. So now it'll rotate and then move forward. Okay. So you know, you've got a lot of capabilities here. Let's add another track. So let's now add our scale progress. So scale progress, and let's say add a key at the beginning at 0. And let's say at 30 frames again, just to see what we've got. Add our frames at 100, and let's see what we got. And obviously it's not doing anything yet because we need to activate it over in our panel. Let's activate it here. So now you've got all three. You've got your scale, rotation and transform moving, all animating together in the Unreal sequencer. You can see you've got a lot of, you know, there's so much you can do with this. Okay, so that's the basics. You can layer it up, have a play and see what else you've got in here. So, you know, at the moment, you can also, you know, change your scale begin size. You can change the range, which is the range over here. Remember I showed you that's how it blends in together. You can actually animate that. Animate the values of the ranges as well. So have a little play with those and see what you get. Now, I just want to iterate something what I said earlier on, is if you don't type in the value, you drag it and you don't realize that you've gone really far. You see, so you've got, maybe it's gone up to 2000, which is way over 100. It will still animate to 100, but it will get there really quickly because you've already got to 100 by the time you get to sort of this keyframe. So it's just something to watch out for. If you think, why isn't my animation working properly, you can see, oh, the values, I've just overblown the values. So make sure you click on it and type in the 100 instead, or you might just want 50, whatever you want. So now you can move your keyframes around, you can do what you want, you can change your timings. So you've got your scale happening at the end. That doesn't really work because obviously the scale is at 0, so you don't really see them. Let's try changing the rotation up to here. There you go, so it sort of slides in flat, and then you can say, okay, well, I don't want the rotation to happen that way. Let's go over to our rotate and say, let's have the rotate beginning here at 90. I'll take this one down to 0, and it's so quick to update and just play with different things. As you can see, it's transforming there. So now it might be better that the rotation happens first. So let's bring this back. And scale there, and let's say, yeah, so all these different effects. So that is how you get hold of all the properties in the Text 3D character transform node. Now let's go one step further and open up some other properties such as our kerning. Okay, let's delve deeper and open up some different properties and different settings that we can get into sort of more advanced properties. So what we want to do is click on the 3D text actor here, and we're going to add another track. So click at the top, not the text character transform, but the top one again. Click track, and I want you to go to text 3D component. Now what this gives us is some more properties. So let's click on the track button, and it opens up all the properties that we had from the beginning. So you can see there's a lot here. Let's try and find our kerning, for example. Now you can add your kerning to the actual animation, and again it's all layered up. So let's just say, for example, it gets to here. Let's set our kerning like wide or something for here. Set a keyframe, press this again, and say drag to here, and for example, maybe it slides in and gets really close here. So as you can see, these things are all layered up now. We're getting a lot of different properties all animating together. So there's our kerning. Let's see what else is in here. I really recommend you just spend an hour going and just playing with them, just messing them, trying to break things. Let's click the track button again and see what we get. So you've got your line spacing. So say if we had multiple lines, you can animate your line spacing. You can even change the font as you go across. You can even change the bevel type. So let's, for example, we get here, set a keyframe for the bevel type, go to here and change the bevel to something like engraved. And let me just zoom in on this, and you see these keyframes. They don't blend to each other, but they do change. So now it animates in, it gets to here, and the bevel actually changes. So you can really sort of delve in and try all these things. Let's go back to, I don't know, like 2 steps or linear. And as you can see, let me zoom in here, and there you go, it changes. Let's see what else we can bring up here. I mean, I don't know if you'd ever use this in an animation, but at least you know you've got it all there. Let's click track, and let's do, oh, this is a good one actually. Let's do the extrude. You can sort of get retro effects where we can actually animate the extrude coming back. So let's go to here, and let's take the extrude right back. So you could use this for sort of zoom effects. Let's click a keyframe here, and we'll get to here, and we'll bring the extrude right back down to 10 or something like that. There you go. That's a very cool effect. I really like that. So let me just click play. Zoom. So I've gone a bit too far, obviously. The extrude's gone back. I've got, see what I've done here? I wanted 100, and I've actually changed the slider, and it's jumped up to 4,000, which is what I was saying earlier on. It's just something you really have to sort of watch out for. Let's go to something like 200, or even maybe 500 to get that zoom effect. If you added a nice neat camera with perspective, and you would get zoom. There you go. So we've got some crazy effects going on here. I'm hitting the spacebar to play again and rewind. So, that's how you can get in and add a text 3D component to track all sorts of things. Have a little play around here. You've got your bevel type, your bevel segments, and you've also got the material which you can change. Now, in the next section, the last part of this tutorial, we're going to build a full scene, and I'm going to show you how I animated, the flickering textures and things like that, which we're going to be using this. So you can change, for example, the extrude material. So you can set a keyframe here, and when we get to here, you can change the material to a different material. Again, it doesn't blend. I think there might be a way where you can do that through more advanced techniques and stuff. But we'll keep this simple for now. But there you go. So that's how you can open up extra properties. So now hopefully you've got a little understanding of how the sequencer works, how we can change, how we can animate, transform, and you've got a timeline editor here, and you can change the keyframes around, and really get in and create some crazy sort of motion design and have real fun with it, and you can be really creative with it. So in the next step, we're going to now build a full scene. I'm going to show you how we did the scene in the demo at the beginning. Hey, so here is a reminder of the scene that I created in the demo for you. It's a simple sort of camera movement, the moving in as well as the letters moving back past the camera and rotating. Some nice sort of depth of field. glow, and various effects. Now we're going to create this this scene together. Now you might want a completely different look to this. You might not want sort of glowing and dark. You might want white background, shiny letters, a pattern background. It might be on footage or whatever. It's completely up to you. This is just one look of many you can do that I decided to create for this sort of tutorial. Here's the actual scene. You can see I can sort of zoom in behind the letters, you know, get a nice feel of what's going on with the glow, and you know, we got all these particle effects and stuff going on, which we're going to sort of try and cover. We're going to try and keep it basic, but hopefully by the end of this you'll have a full scene. First of all, I'm going to sort of start with a clean scene just with the letters in, and we're going to create the look and the feel of this. Now you can either do the animation first or set up your lighting, your materials, and do everything that way first. Now, both is completely fine, but today I'm going to be setting up the scene and the lighting and all the glow and everything first, because I think that might affect the way, if you're looking at this, it might affect, you know, some of the animation decisions that we took. You know, the camera might be here, and if we didn't have it in our final look, we might not position it in a certain way. So, you know, it doesn't matter, but that's the way I've decided to do it to do it today. So let's open our a completely blank scene just with the text. It's the same text. Now just keep in mind that the just as we learned at the beginning of the tutorial, just to create a 3D text actor, and but these are two separate ones. This isn't multi-line, these are two, and all I did is I just literally just created two separate text actors from up in the classes. So if you go up to here, I would drag two on, or when you've selected one, you can use the short key of just holding down the Alt key and then dragging, and it will duplicate another one for you, which is, I use that all the time. So we have our lettering here. What I've done is I've gone for a blue front, a white trim, but we're going to actually fill this with the glow material and our pink extrude. Now the back doesn't matter because we're not really going to see it, especially in the darkness and everything. First of all, with the glow material. Now I've created some glow materials here. Now I'm not going to show you how to do that in this lesson, but I am going to release a video exactly the same time covering it, so it'll be two videos at the same time. The reason I've decided to split it off just in a separate smaller video showing how to create emissive and glow materials is because firstly I want to keep the length of this tutorial down, and secondly it might be useful for other users just looking to just purely learn how to do glowing emissive materials. So if you want to pop off and just learn how to create those glowing materials, it won't be a very long tutorial, and then come back, that's fine. So let's just press on. I'm going to go down to our lettering on the first one, and I'm going to go to our bevel material, and I'm going to drag our glow material, which you will learn to do in the other video, and just place them in here. And as you can see, it pops up, but it's not really glowing yet because we haven't set some important parameters, which we're going to come back to in a minute. I'm going to also get rid of this floor. We don't want the default floor. We're going to create our own. So let's drag on a plane, and I'm going to go to the locations, and I'm just going to reset those, and I'm going to give it a scale of 50 to make our plane nice and big, and I'm also going to give it our sort of magenta-y purple color. And if you remember, we actually did set this up. I showed you at the beginning of the tutorial how to set this up with just a value going into roughness to show how reflective it is. Now I haven't got this on 0, I've got it on 0.2 just to sort of slightly blur those reflections, because I don't want it sort of like a mirror. And you can create any color you want, any design. You might not even have a reflective floor, but that's the settings we're going to go for just for this purpose. Okay, so that's looking better. You can see we've got reflections happening in there. They look a bit rubbish at the moment. I'm going to show you how to make those better. First of all, what I'm going to do is I am going to get rid of the default lighting. I do not want the lighting that comes with the scene. You'll get a light source, a sky sphere, and a skylight. I'm going to leave the sphere reflection capture because it captures the reflections. I'm just going to delete those, and I'm just going to go yes to all, and obviously our scene will go dark here. Now what we need to do is we need to get that glow working. Some people fall into a trap where the glow doesn't work because they haven't added the post-processing volume. So if you go to your volumes, you can either scroll down or just type in post-processing volumes and drag one onto here. And what this does is it gives you a lot of power. It's really essential for any scene that you do, really, but it kind of comes along later, really. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to go down to, at the moment, the post-processing only is working within this box. So you want to go down to type in infinite and then click this box, and it will make it infinite. So it's not confined to this one box. It's actually, the post-processing will work infinitely out of your scene. Okay, I'm going to close that down. You want to scroll down and find one little setting which is bloom. So you can either scroll down or again you can just type these in. Where is the bloom setting? There it is, right at the top. Sorry, I just scrolled past. And what you're going to do is turn this on, and then turn the intensity on, and straight away you can see the glow working. You can, you don't want to go too crazy with the setting, but just sort of up something, around the 1 or 2 mark, something like that. If you want, you can try then, let's see, we can go to our bevel material, and you might want to try a different glow color. I've actually got a glow red here as well. So there you go. So you've got a different look altogether on that one. I'm just going to undo that because I do want the blue. And now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add what's important for every scene is a light mass importance volume. I'm going to drag that on and I'm going to reposition it, and what that does is it says concentrate all the lighting within this area instead of it going out too far. It might not be necessary in a scene like this, but it's just good practice to do something like that. And I'm going to scale up the box, and you can see it getting bigger. I'm going to move it up. There you go, and I'm going to actually extend it this way because we do want a lot of the animation happening here. There we go, that's quite nice. Just to sort of encompass this, it focuses all the lighting within this box. It gives it better quality. I'm also going to give a reflection. Let's see, I'm going to give a box reflection capture just to capture a large amount of reflections. So let's have a look at this. We've got captured scene over here, and I'm going to just reposition by default to here. There we go. As you can see, as you pull it up, you sort of get your reflections. It's a bit big at the moment, so let's scale this down. And then we've got uniform on at the moment, which I don't want, so I'm going to uncheck the padlock, and I'm going to scale up in the Z just to give a bit of extra reflections. And we're going to test this out. Sometimes you put things on and then you take them off. You might not need them again. We'll just see how it goes. Okay. Right, now the one thing we want now is the floor isn't really reflecting. If you remember, we actually gave it a nice magenta color. So let's do a planar reflection and bring this back to default. There you go. So what the planar reflection does is it's like acts like a mirror. So if I just turn that off and on again, you see you get these nice long reflections. So that's something you can try as well. I'm actually going to I think it's a bit much for this scene, so I'm actually just going to turn that one off. It's good to sort of try different methods and see what you get. Now it's good to save your scene as you go along, so I've just I have named this one already, so let's just go to File and then Save All, or you can just press Control S to save your level. Okay, so now let's add a light in the front. Let's go to Lights, Point Light, and oops, that's gone way too far out. There we go, and I'm going to drag this up, There we go. Now we're getting some of that nice floor color there. That's great. And let's just see. So I'm going to zoom out, and this is the radius it's set to at the moment. So I'm going to set this down to something like 500, something like that. Let's bring this across. Yeah, that's nice. So we're getting a nice sort of, you know, we can see the floor. We're getting this funny square here, and I think that might be coming from box reflection. Let's just turn that off. Yeah. Let me just turn it back on again, just see what we're getting. Yeah, so the box reflection capture seems to be sort of causing this artifact here. Let's just see what we can do about that. Let's try. So we've got it set to captured scene, so it's just capturing the light from the scene. Yeah, I think this is a thing with any design, you know, Unreal, whatever it is. Sometimes you just have to put things on, see how they look. Yeah, it's causing a bit of. I'm going to just delete the box reflection capture for now, because I think what we've got here is probably good enough. Okay, that's good, and I'm going to bring in, I think, the radius of our light. Let's just try something like 300. Bring this forward. Maybe we want another light above that possibly. So let's try holding down the Alt, moving this here, and then up a bit to get some more light over here. Okay, that looks quite nice. So you might just get this sort of spotlight feel on the ground, and you could animate these actually moving. That would be really nice. That is something I didn't do in the other demo. You could put this one behind. This would be very nice to actually animate the light coming forward. You see, you get this lovely glow as it goes forward. So that's something that would be really nice to do actually. Yeah, great. Let's just bring this back to the front. Okay, so I think this is looking pretty good. I think I might, let's just see, I might tone down the bloom a little. Let's see. Okay, no, it's not too bad. And what I'm going to do now is add another reflection just to see what else we can get as well. So sphere reflections, see if this will pick up more reflections on the it will help pick up the reflections on the floor. At the moment the radius is massive, it's 3000, so let's take this down to something like 300. And as you bring this down, you move this around, you can see it sort of affects the reflections as it goes. So this is all trial and error, trying to get interesting looks. Something like that might be nice. And let's have a look at this other sphere reflection. If I bring this over, and I think this is obviously again is really big. Yeah, there we go. So let's bring this down to something like 500. Yeah, that's better. So as you can see before, I had this set to the default, which is what comes with the scene. It's massive. It's like 3000. So if I put it back to the default, which was 3000, it sort of adds the reflections too much on the plane. So I've now brought this down to a much more sort of sharper angle. That looks much better. There you go. And it might be nice to have one reflection capture on each side, something like this. And there'll be overlapping. There we go. That's a really nice look there. Let's have a look around the back. You get this lovely glow. Okay, that is looking great. Now there's one more thing I want to show you guys before we move on to animation. As you can see, the reflections are sort of a bit jaggedy. I know we're only sort of working in screen resolution at the moment, but if we look at the demo I did, it's got nice like smoother, better reflections at the bottom, and that is part of the post-processing volume. You can control everything with this. So if we select on our post-processing volume, and I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to close some of these up so that we don't, so they're not in the way. You've got exposure, and what I'm going to down to is reflections. I'm just going to close some of these up. There's so many options in here. I really, try and watch some. I'll try and do another tutorial on it later as well. You've got all your color grading, which is just excellent. But just have a play through. But there's so much in here. What I want to do now is just go down to reflections. Let me just type it in here. Sorry. Reflections. Okay, so here we are. And I'm going to change the type to screen base, and I'm going to change up the quality. At the moment it's on 50. Now if I sort of put this up to 100, there you go. You get much better reflections. It sort of fades them off, disperses them as you like. Now our material set to 0.2 roughness. If we had that to 0, it would be much more mirror-like. Now the type of reflections here, I don't want to get into too much technical details, but the ray tracing is a lot more physically accurate, but we only need screen-based for now. Let's take the quality up to 100. And you can take down the intensity as well. I've got this at 100, which is pretty big. You could try and play with these other settings, but I'm not going to go into that now because we want to get on with the animation. So there we go. We have set up the scene. I'm just going to do the game view, which gets rid of all the helpers. As you can see, we've set up a really nice looking a scene, reflective floor, nice color bleeds, and the glow. The glow might be a bit strong, but that's okay for now. And yeah, so that's how we've set up our scene. I hope that was helpful. Now let's move on to the last stage, the cool stage of animating this. So we're going to be working in the sequencer again. Let's create a new level sequence. So go up to cinematics and then add level sequence, and it will ask you to save it. You need to save it somewhere. So I'm just going to call this title sequence. Okay, and my window is docked in here. Yours might be off somewhere else, but I'm trying to fit everything all on one screen for you. I normally work with 2 or 3 monitors at the same time, but obviously you need to fit it all on for this tutorial. Let's just move this down a bit. Hopefully we can see everything we're doing. Okay, so first of all, we need to create a camera for our scene. You can actually just drag a camera on and then attach it to the sequencer, but you can also just press this little button. It says, this one here says create a new camera and set it as the current camera cut. So I'm just going to click this, and it'll automatically give us a camera cut, and it will put our view into your camera. So we're actually working in this camera now instead of the default one. So if I move back here, let's just see something like this, and you can see the lens has a lot less perspective on it. So let's go and select our camera here up in the outliner, and let's just see if we can get some better perspective on this. We've got a focal length of 35 at the moment. If you want more perspective on it, we're gonna have to bring that right down. We could try something like 21. When you zoom in, you'll get more perspective. I'm just gonna hit the F key to sort of zoom around the letters. Yeah, I mean, we could try something even less actually. Let's go a bit more dramatic, a bit more crazy with the perspective. Let's try something like an 18mm lens. I mean, you could even go something crazy like a 12, and you get that sort of real sort of harsh perspective. It's quite nice actually. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to, I'll leave that there for now. We can always amend these things, that's what they're there for. Now it's given us this, you've got your little markers here, you've got your green and red, and this is where this is where your sequence begins and ends. You can trim this down, you can make it longer. I mean, 150 frames is pretty much ideal for this shot anyway. And so our camera is now added to our sequencer. So we can treat that as just like we have everything else really. You can animate it, animate the depth of field, the focus, all those sorts of things. So I'm going to set our end frame. I want the camera to be around 120 frames in. I want it to be in a nice position. So let's say something like this. And I'm going to hit our transform key. So let's bring up the transform. There it is. So you need to open this up, and I'm just going to hit the top one here. What this one will do is it will keyframe all the lower 3. It will keyframe the location and rotation scale. I mean, we don't need a scale anyway, so you could just hit location and rotation if you want, and it sets your keys there. And I want the camera to start sort of back here and sort of zoom in a bit more dramatically. So I'm going to rotate this up here, something like this, move it over, and I've got auto key set, this little button here, so we don't have to keep setting the keys. Auto key will set a key for any change you make. So if I drag the timeline there, so we've got that zooming in. So that's quite nice. And you might want to, I tend to work with different views as well, so we might need to add another view in here. Let's just, you can check your work from the top, which I often do. If I just zoom out here, you can see our letters are here, and then our camera will be, sorry, I need to move to the mouse, not the tablet. Let's see, select our camera, and it's there. And if you do select the camera in the top view or any view, it will give you a shot of where you are. I'm just going to go back to our perspective view, which is not our camera view. So the perspective one means we can move around, and we still haven't ruined our camera one. We are not viewing through our camera. You can see it gives you a camera view, but not here. Now if I went up to perspective and chose our shot cam, it would instantly jump to our camera to give us our view. And we can also hit this little button here to lock to the camera cut view. So now we want to get up, we want to sort of view multiple views really. So let me just see where we can get this. So I want view, let's see, viewport 3, and that will bring up another viewport, and I need to try and dock this for you guys. I'm sorry, because I usually, like I say, I usually work with multiple monitors. So let's just see if we put this in here. There we go. So we've got two cameras side by side now. So this really helps. So you can have your perspective, or you could say I'll have in this camera view, I'll have my my top view, so I can I can animate the camera. I can see the camera moving. You see the camera moving there, and I can also see my shot camera in this side. So this is pretty important to be able to work with multiple cameras at a time. Now if you only have got one screen, one monitor, it's a bit difficult to fit all this on screen at one time, so you might want to swap manually, but for this tutorial I really would like you to see multiple views. Okay, so that's our basic camera movement. And we can always update this. Really easy to update whenever we want. Now let's add one of our text actors and start animating this in. In the demo I had it coming past the camera, but you might want it shooting from the distance. Anything you want. Let's go back to frame 1 and let's add our text actor at the top. I'm going to add this one, and there it is. And if you remember from the previous lesson, what we need to do now is go to track, and then text 3D character transform will bring up our properties. If you remember, they were over here. This will bring up our location, our rotation, and our scale, whatever we need that side. So let's bring this to frame 0 again, and let's go track. Let's start with location. So let's go to the location progress, and there's our progress. There's our little chart. So now nothing's moving there, maybe because we haven't got it turned on over here. So let's just have a little check. The motion, go to text character transform, and let's see. So we've got location enabled, so it is enabled. We've got the progress. There you go. So it is working. What it is that we've only got 100 in there. So let's go for, I want some a bigger movement here. Let's put in a and also it's going the wrong way at the moment. It's going, let's see, let's just check the progress. At the moment it's coming that way. Yep, so that should work fine. So let's try a value of, let's see, minus 300. I want something really big. Okay, and let's just check the progress. There we go. So that's much better. I want it sort of, going past the camera here, something like this, just shooting back really fast. So let's try something like this. So let's set a key. Let's set a key. Let's see, something like here, sort of around the 90 mark, and I'm going to set a key for location, and I'm going to drag this to I think maybe, let's see, maybe by 75, something like that. It sort of arrives, and then we can have the camera following it in afterwards, something like that. So now let's type in 0 and let's just see. Okay, there we go. So we've got a bit of a camera move and it's moving back. Great. Okay, so now let's add a little bit of the rotation. So let's click on our track and we're going to add rotate progress. There it is. And sorry, it's again a little bit hard to fit everything on in one go. So we've got the rotation. Let's see. From the top view, this is helpful. You can see it's rotating forwards. So it's rotating towards the camera. Let's change this to perspective, and we can zoom back and see what's going on here. That's pretty helpful. Okay, that's great. So let's set a key at the beginning for rotation on 0. Let's see what we've got it set to over here. So we've got rotate, we've got rotate begin, we've got 90 degrees on the Y. And then when we get to here, we're going to say, let's type in 100, and let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I think the camera is not dramatic enough there. I think we should move the camera back here. Again, I'm I know I did the demo earlier on, but I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I'm just making it up as we go along, and that's the beauty of Unreal, because it's just real time. You can just play. You don't have to re-render anything. So that's a bit of a nice camera move. I'm going to hit the space bar to play this. There, that's got a nice feel to it. So from, I'm going to say we've hit frame 75 and then up to frame 120. I want to carry on moving in a bit. So you can either hit over here in your camera view and carry on zooming in like this, or I could have gone to a top view and physically, let's see, top view, I could have grabbed the camera here. Let's just zoom in a bit here. And I can actually animate the camera like this. It's whatever your preference is. I use both. I use a mixture of both. So as you can see, the curve is a little bit messy to, because when I moved in, you can't control you can't control, you know, wobble and things like this. So let's just, what I'm going to do is go to this frame here. I'm going to go into here and I'm just going to let's see, move this one to here. And I'm going to try and straighten out this curve here. Can you see this? I'm going to try and zoom in here. So I have to swap back to my mouse and my tablet at the same time, at different times. Let's see. There we go. That is nicer. So that's one way to simplify it. There is a curve editor. Now I don't want to go into to go on too long, but there is a very good curve editor here, which you can really go in and clean up your curve. So we could select the camera, open up the settings, the transforms, open up location, and we're transforming X, and you get your curve editor. Now this is similar to what you get in Maya, and as you can see, it's easing in. So now you can get really fine control. We can sort of move this up and down. We can sort of get nicer easing. You've got your different Bezier. I'll try and sort of do a more in-depth tutorial over this, but again, it's, you know, this tutorial's already gone on quite long. We just want to you know, get the understandings of doing motion design, but I think that gives a good idea. You could get in there, you could change the Y movement, the Z movement, you can change your curves to linear, to Bezier, but it really does help sort of smooth the curves out. I'm going to move this curve editor onto another window just to get it out your way. Okay, so there we go. Now, one thing I did do in the demo is I added this dramatic sort of turn on the camera, this sort of tunnel spin. So let's add a bit of that in now. Let's go to our camera and open up our rotation. We've got roll, pitch, and yaw, so it spins horizontally on the view plane as well. And I've got a key set here, but not here. So I'm just going to set one here so that we've got a key set. No, let's just see if we can spin this. Oh, way too much. So let's have a look. Something like this. And so the yaw spins this way, which we don't need. The pitch goes up and down, but the roll will sort of physically roll the camera like on its side. You see? So now we want to delete that first key because we want to start rotated. Oops. There we go. So that's a bit more dramatic. I'm going to move the key back to the beginning because it's probably better that the rotation happens all the time. There we go. So let's just hit the space bar to play that back. Yeah, it's looking really nice. Okay, let's just add some animation to the design word now. I'm going to select this. I want this to be centered in the center at the moment. At the moment you can see it's set left. If you go over to our settings over here, we've got left. Now I want to animate the kerning, but I want it to happen from the middle. So I'm going to swap this over to a center align, and I'm going to move it back. So now that we are, so when we animate the kerning, it animates out from the center. So let's just try and do something quite cool with this. So let's see. So we obviously want to add it to our sequencer first. I'm going to close these down so we can see. You can close these down so they're not in the way, and then we can see a bit more. So I'm going to select our design actor there, select our design, hit track, and add our design word. And again, just as before, go up to text 3D character transform to add it. And let's see. What can we do here? So let's first of all let's add a location. Let's try something like this. Location progress. And let's see what we've got it set to over here. So at the moment we've got our location -100 on the X, which isn't that far. I'd like to go a bit further really. Progress. So it's not very far there. So let's maybe take this up to 200 so it's coming in past the camera. Let's just drag the progress just to get a little preview. Yep, that's pretty cool. So let's go back to our sequencer. Now we need to set a key at the beginning. I'm going to set one key here, and when it gets to here, maybe it happens around here. Maybe it comes in after the motion, so something like here, and I'll set this to 0. Let's just take a little look what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty good. And let's try animating the kerning now. Now, as before, the kerning doesn't come here. It's not as part of this. So we, in the previous chapter where I taught you how to go into the more advanced settings, we need to add that here as well. So we're going to select our 3D, our actual parent node here, the 3D design, hit track, and we're going to go to text 3D component, and then we get this our other node pop up here, and then hit track again, and now we can get to the other settings. So let's look for kerning. There it is. And now we can animate the kerning, and because I set it from the center, it's gonna start from the center. So let's have a little look at this. So we want it to come in, and then the kerning sort of move in. So let's add a key. I think I'll start the kerning not from the beginning, but sort of around frame 20-ish. And then when it gets to here, after the motion, something maybe 75-ish, I'm going to set this to 0. Oh, actually 0 is too far. So we need, I think the default, was it something like 10, was it, or 11? Yeah, that is good. So let's have a little look. There we go. That's looking a lot more interesting. Let's just play that back. I'm going to try and drag this down so we get a bigger view for you, and move this one over. You can drag your windows around to sort of, change your window layout. Let's just have a little look at this. Brilliant. That's looking really nice. Can you imagine that with all the sound effects? Great. Okay, so one thing I did on the demo one as well is I went on and added some more detail. So I animated the material on the flickering, which we're going to do, and also added a subtle animated depth of field as it got back. I thought it was a really nice touch. So with your camera, let's do that now. Let's move this back up a bit. Sorry, not much real estate room here. So as we get back here on your camera, let's open up the camera again. I'm going to scroll up to, oops, sorry, didn't want that one. I'm going to close this down, open up the camera. You've got your focal length here, and this sets the distance of your camera to for your depth of field. See, if I go if I bring it right down, you get this lovely sort of depth of field, and you can animate this. So let's say from here, you might want, let's say it might be sharp here. So you get, it starts off sharp, and I'm going to add, let's say about here, I'm going to add a keyframe. And I've got my aperture on 2.8. The lower that, the more depth of field you'll get, but this is fine for now. And when it gets to here, I am going to just change the depth of field to be a little bit blurry. And as it comes into focus, I mean, you know, the letters, not the actual depth of field, but we are going to bring it into focus, which is right here. I'm going to bring this back into focus here. There we go, really nice touch. See that? It's quite subtle, but you know, it's a really nice effect. Let's just try and make this a bit more obvious, something like this. Hit the spacebar again to play it back. Nice, and it's a bit quick, so let's extend the keys out, something like this here. Give a nice slower feel, I think. Yeah, lovely. Sorry, I'm getting a bit excited about the motion design, but it's just great to see this happening so quickly. Really nice. Okay, let's add a little bit of the flickering, the changing of the material. So now I'm going to again close down the camera. On the design word, let's open up our text 3D component. There we go, and now we're going to add something else. So now we're going to add, if you remember from the other previous chapter, you can get to the bevel, get to the materials of anything here. So we're going to open up the bevel material, and when it gets to here, I'm going to add like a little flickering here of it changing. So I'm going to add a keyframe. At the moment we've got glow blue. I'm going to add a keyframe. And by the way, you can zoom in on what you're doing by using this sort of left and right markers. And I'm going to sort of jump forward 2 frames. I'm going to change it to the glow red. I'm going to jump forward 2 frames, and I'm going to change it back to the glow blue. Okay, and you can also just, if I delete that key, you can actually select these keyframes, hit copy, and paste. And you see that? It flickers. I'm going to paste more, just I think a few more frames. Yeah. There we go. Let's have one more. Let's have a little playback. Out of focus, a little flicker, and a nice gentle camera easing in at the end. There we go. That looks great. Let's have one more playback and see what else we can do. Lovely. So now what we're going to do is in the demo I added just one more little thing. It's just atmospheric dust. Now Unreal does come with built-in particle system called Niagara, but it does have a preset for this dust, and you can literally just open it and drag it on, and that's what we're going to do now. So to add the atmospheric dust, you need to go to your starter content. If you don't have the starter content, when you start a new Unreal project, it gives you the option to add it or not. By default it does. If you don't have your starter content folder here, you can just go to add import and then add feature or content pack and get it from there. Okay, so in the starter content, if you go to particles, and there is a P ambient dust. If you just drag that into the system onto your, and immediately you can see it working and get this lovely dust. I'm just going to select off at the moment, so you know if it's selected, it's highlighting all the particles. If I let go, you can see you get this nice sort of atmospheric dust. And let's just go to our, okay, and you can see it there. Maybe, yeah, it's quite fine there. So let me just select the dust node here. Let me check the it's at 000. default location. There we go, you can see it sort of flying around there. And then maybe we'll want to scale it up. Let's try scaling it up to give it a bit more visibility. See, something like, yeah, there you go, that looks nice. So this just happens all the time. It's like the particle sort of simulation of a dust sprite. That might be a bit too much, but there you go. Nice little finishing touch. Let's just press the play button. There you go. So that is it, guys. We have made it to the end of this. Now, I hope it was detailed enough, but not too confusing, and it just shows you what you can do in Unreal. You know, it's not just for games. You know, us as motion designers, we can utilize it. You know, rendering this would take a long time, and there would be no feedback. Maybe you can mix this with, you know, with our other work, with Maya and After Effects and everything, to add more depth. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to do a bit of motion design inside of Unreal Engine. I hope you can see how powerful it is, and Unreal seems to change every day. I've made a complimentary tutorial on how to do those nice glowing emissive materials inside of Unreal, so check that out in the description below. Also, come and join us in the new private Facebook group. Just search for Animator Artist Life under groups in Facebook, and if you got value out of this, if you could like it, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and I'll see you next time.